It is possible to set up escalation procedures in your alarm notification pipelines in Ignition. So let's create a pipeline here that's going to notify the operators a maximum of 3 times. And if the alarm is still active after the 3rd time, we're going to escalate that up to a manager. So first and foremost, in order to keep track of the number of times that we have notified the operators, we have to actually set a property inside this pipeline. So I'm going to bring in the set property block in the very beginning. And from the start, I'm going to come right into the set property. Essentially here, I'm going to call that property num times. I'm going to initialize that to a value of 1. So then from there, I'm going to bring in the notification block. So from the output pin, the set property, I'm going to go ahead and notify. In this case, via voice, I'm going to notify all the operators. I'm going to call every single operator in that list, and if the alarm is still acknowledged, if the alarm is still active and not acknowledged after it reaches the output pin, then we need to do something more with it. We need to basically come back around. So what we're going to do a simple delay here. We're going to delay for, let's say, 60 seconds, so a whole minute. After that, then if the alarm is still active, we need to increment our counter. So I'm going to set another property here. And you can actually right-click on the block. You can reverse the orientation. And so I'm going to do from the delay, I'm going to come into the set property. The set property is going to be, the property is going to be num times, and the expression, the value is going to be, is the previous value, num times plus 1. So you just got to type that in there. In the expression, you got to use the curly braces to refer to that variable. So I've now incremented that counter by 1. After that, we're going to come back into notify the operators. So we're going to do this maximum number of 3 times. But before we actually can go right back in, we need to check somewhere that it's been 3 times we've notified them. So I'm going to bring in an expression block to do this. I'm going to put an expression block right here. Again, I'm going to right click and reverse the orientation of those output pin and the input pins. From the set property, I'm going to bring it into the in of the expression. And the expression is going to check if the number of times is less than 3. If it is less than 3, it's going to return true, and we're going to come right back into the notification. If it is basically 3 or higher, essentially, we're going to return false, so we want to escalate that up to the managers. So in this case, we're going to do another notification block here. Again, I'm going to reverse the orientation, and from the false, I'm going to come into the in of the notification, and here I'm going to notify via voice the managers. So as you can see here, this little pipeline, when it comes in, alarm comes in, it's going to set the number of times variable to a value of 1. It's going to notify all the operators through voice. If the alarm is still active, it's going to wait a minute, increment my counter by 1, check to see if it's less than 3. If it's less than 3, go back in and notify the operators again. After that, if it's still active, we wait a minute and do it one more time. After the 3rd time, if it's still active, it's still in the pipeline, then we're going to notify the managers. And keep in mind that if the alarm at any point becomes acknowledged or cleared, it's going to drop out of the pipeline.